I was asked on the channel the other day if I would buy a CX-5 or a CX-50, and those two are so similar that it requires a little bit of thought. Well, I've given it that thought, and I have my answer for you. More garbage! What's up, everybody? I'm Jonathan Sewell Sales at Mitchell Mazda on the Boulevard. Well, actually on my way to the Boulevard in Enterprise, and I'm currently driving a preferred CX-5. So I have some of the upgraded amenities, leather seats, heated seats, power moonroof, some of the other features, and it's a great ride and a great choice for this trim or package if you're considering a CX-5. As I mentioned in the intro on the channel the other day, I was asked if I would buy a CX-50 or a CX-5, and the irony of the timing of that question is that I have been driving a CX-50 for about a month, and now I'm back into a CX-5. So there's a few things that I want to cover as fresh on my brain, the immediate differences of coming from a CX-50 to a CX-5, and it was really shocking. I've been a CX-5 fan since day one with Mazda, and always looking for the vehicles that I get to drive, always looking for a CX-5 because of the all-around performance, comfort, and definitely the fuel economy. However, when I had the first opportunity to drive a CX-50 long-term, I jumped at it so that I could have more knowledge and information there. And now that I'm back in a CX-5, there are some things that I forgot were the case, or maybe got spoiled with the CX-50. The first thing that I noticed is that immediately I felt like I was riding higher, which could be a good feel in most cases for visibility or even some sense of security. However, I felt like I was top heavy when driving this vehicle, and obviously it does sit up higher than the CX-50 as far as the roof height. It is a more narrow track than the CX-50, and I just felt like I was kind of all over the road and kind of felt like I was just top heavy riding in this vehicle, and it was kind of surprising to me because I had not felt that way before. Secondly, the seats are absolutely more comfortable on the CX-5. So even though my ride height was different, and maybe there were some differences from that situation, the seats were definitely more comfortable than the CX-50, even though the CX-50 seats are wider, which allows more room for spacing out your legs or whatever the case was. Definitely all the way the bottom and the lumbar are more comfortable to me in the CX-5. The third thing I've noticed on the CX-5, which I didn't realize as much before, is the shorter console lid. I really got spoiled with that long, relaxed almost console lid of the CX-50, and also the positioning of the cup holders. So with that longer console lid, of course, on the new generation of vehicles, Mazda 3, CX-50, CX-90, the cup holders are positioned differently. Well, CX-90 more so because it's wider on the right side, but everything that's positioned up front gets those cups out of the way, and I haven't noticed it as much or forgot about it until I put my large Chick-fil-A cup in a cup holder here on the CX-5, and the straw kept catching my hand when I was going for the commander control. So I've actually had to remind myself to put the large cup on the passenger side instead of on the driver's side, so that I could work around it and not have a interference with the commander control knob. Also, regardless of having cups in the cup holder, I just felt like my arm kept wanting to fall off of this console lid because I was so accustomed to that longer, more relaxed or relaxing console lid of the CX-50. So definitely appreciate the upgrades or the repositioning that they did for the longer console and the cup holders up front, which I really didn't think much about before. The fourth thing that I've noticed just from being a couple of days in the CX-5 is it absolutely is quieter, and I think that it probably has something to do with the acoustic glass in the windows. Now, I'm not listing this as a complaint necessarily on the CX-50 because I don't recall it being a bothersome wind noise, but I can hear more wind noise right here with the CX-50 than the CX-5. So overall, that's probably a little bit more enjoyable when it comes to music or conversation in the cabin, because you don't hear that wind noise right here in my left ear driving down the road. The fifth thing in the 5 and the 50 difference, which I'm not really knocking the CX-5 for this, is the upgraded tech. There's something so convenient of cranking the car and wireless CarPlay connecting automatically and picking up on the book, the podcast, or the music that you left off on. And again, I understand that the CX-5 and 24 has made that more available. However, it's very available on the CX-50, and something I kind of got spoiled with. Also, the wireless phone charger in the CX-50, I didn't use at all because of my iPhone 14 wouldn't never make a good connection there to charge. But I feel like with the CX-5's wireless phone charger, there's going to be a better connection perhaps where it's located. So that's something to check out in future models as well. But I do really appreciate the wireless CarPlay because that's really what I use, and having to tether on this one is really old school. The sixth thing that I would say between the 5 and the 50 is that the CX-50, if I can describe this accurately, is just a more rugged vehicle. And I found myself comfortable tackling anything off the road, on the road, water. And I don't think it was just because of the all-wheel drive, but more so I just kind of felt like I could take on the world. And that may be a little bit foolish to say because it's not a pickup truck, but I felt like I was maybe more in a pickup truck, and I had no hesitations of going off the road. Now, I wouldn't be going like into a mud bog or anything like that, but I did feel like it was something I can do without thought or without worry and just go wherever. And I felt good doing that. The CX-5, although since 22, all of them are all-wheel drive, I still don't have that feeling in the CX-5 because it's really just a nice vehicle, I guess, nice looking vehicle, and I don't feel that rugged attachment like I did with the CX-50. Maybe you CX-50 owners can understand what I'm trying to say here. Obviously, they have both the same powertrains available, so you can have a turbo or non-turbo on both. I've shared before that my preference on the CX-50 is the turbo. However, there's something either way on the CX-5, the naturally aspirated or the turbo, but going from the turbo in the CX-50 to the standard engine in the CX-5, I really appreciate the better fuel economy. And that's something that kind of spoils you, especially as we see varying fuel prices as we go day to day. But either engine is great in this vehicle, and but personally I feel the turbo is almost a necessity in the CX-50. That doesn't really weigh on my judgment on which vehicle I would rather have or rather buy. And I guess I would have to say, if I made the choice today, it would be, I really can't choose. And I'm not trying to be a cop out here. There's great attributes to both. I just feel that it would be a hard choice to make. And I know that many of you are making that hard choice every day. And there's several things I like about the CX-5 and several things I like about the CX-50. So it's hard to choose that exact vehicle that I would buy today over those two. But I do think they speak to different sides of my personality, that more rugged feel, kind of take on the world, or the very nice, comfortable ride in the CX-5. So it may just be dependent on how I feel that day, if I had to make a choice. Sorry I couldn't be more help, but If you have any questions or comments on any vehicle, you can always drop them down below or text me at 334-718-0504. I'm still on my way to the Boulevard, and I'll be there to provide you with all the latest Mazda news. And I'm sorry I couldn't make the choice. But they're both great vehicles, CX-5 and CX-50. And I will see you on the next one.